Today I'm going to talk about the Mount Vernon Chronic Truancy Reduction Initiative, how an inner-city school district cut absenteeism by 19.8% in 2 years with no additional grant funding. Our project is sponsored by the City of Mount Vernon, the Mount Vernon City School District, and the Westchester County Department of Social Services. Those were our key partners, but we have many more now. Brief review: chronic truancy is linked to educational failure, increased juvenile crime, other risky teen behaviors, child abuse, increased adult crime, and long-term poverty. What that means is that if you care about helping at-risk kids, reducing crime, making sure schools succeed, protecting kids from child abuse, alleviating poverty, or strengthening our community, then we share a common stake in addressing chronic truancy. Now, the question is, how can we address chronic truancy when we have dwindling resources? Every school district in America is wrestling with this. The answer is better use what you do have by maximizing tools that are now underutilized and targeting the resources where they can have the greatest impact to the highest need youth. In Mount Vernon, what we decided to do was enforce the law on mandatory school attendance and use the Child Protective Services educational neglect reporting process to trigger an investigation and assessment of the family situation, and followed when necessary by support services and/or court intervention. Traditionally, Child Protective Services was sometimes seen as the enemy. Well, what they're focused on now is keeping children in the home and solving the problems. And whereas most community agencies, if you call and say, I have 250 high-risk youth, they're going to say, I'm sorry, we're really short on funding, we have a long waiting list. CPS is the one place in our world where they can't say no, where they can't refuse a case, and where they have to spring into action as soon as a properly formatted report is received. What we're doing is we've decided to report all students with 20+ unexcused absences, report them sooner. Part of what would happen previously is school districts would wait till the end of the school year, then submit hundreds of CPS reports. And by that time, school would be closed, the workers couldn't complete an investigation, the parents couldn't change their behaviors, nothing happened. Everyone did a lot of work and nothing got accomplished. Now we're reporting them over the course of the school year while there's still time to intervene and make a difference. We're documenting the educational impacts. It's not enough to call CPS and say this child's missed 20+ days of school. They'll say, so what? You need to show that the grades are dropping, that there's behavioral problems, that they're not being able to implement a special education plan, that there's some way that this is hurting the child. And we've taught the school staff how to better document that. We also provide follow-up data when needed for CPS and family court. What would happen previously is if a case was accepted by CPS, they would then start leaving phone messages all over the school district trying to get follow-up data. No one was responsible for giving it to them. They'd often not be able to get it. Then when they went to court, the judge would say, you tell me if this problem continues. And they wouldn't have a way to find out. So the whole system was stymied by a lack of access to data. And the ultimate point of this whole exercise is not to connect people to CPS, but to figure out what families need and link them to those services. Now, CPS has a lot of resources, and it can make a lot of referrals, but we don't have to just use CPS. We're also working with community agencies, and we say, you want to serve at-risk youth? Then focus on chronic truants. We now have a list in every school of the kids who are at highest risk for a life of poverty and crime. And if you want to help high-risk kids, don't just take the ones who are first ones in your door. Work with us and engage these specific youth.